I was the real daughter of a wealthy family, yet I had been maliciously swapped at birth by a servant. Growing up in a harsh environment, I witnessed the darkest sides of society. When I finally returned to my biological family, I was constantly asked to give way to the fake daughter and forbidden to compete for affection. Everyone admired Emily Owens, pampered since childhood, hailed as the happiest princess of New York. On her birthday each year, Owens Holding subsidiaries would hold grand celebrations for her. As for me, deprived of my parents' love, my life had been filled only with endless labor and beatings for no reason. It wasn't until the Owens family's lawyer came looking for me that I learned the truth. I was the real daughter of the Owens family. The day I returned, only a maid and a driver came to pick me up. Carrying fragile hopes for the future, I stepped into the most luxurious villa I had ever seen. Before meeting the Owens family face to face, I still held a faint expectation of familial warmth. The family was waiting for me in the living room. I had seen their photos on a phone before, knew I resembled them, but seeing them in person still startled me. Emily Owens clung to my mother's embrace. Her voluminous curls framed her porcelain skin, and her swollen eyes looked as if she had just been crying. When she glanced at me, those red-rimmed eyes carried a flash of hatred and resentment. Even though I had returned, my mother still held her hand tenderly, gently comforting her. Their family had raised her as a princess. Meanwhile, I stood there in a faded school uniform washed too many times, a patched-up backpack worn for years, and calloused hands that told of labor. You really do look like me. You're truly my daughter. Charles Owens stepped forward, patting my head lovingly. My little Autumn, you've suffered enough. Catherine Bennett hugged me with one arm, her eyes filled with guilt. Now you're home. All those hard days are behind you. Emily couldn't stand the scene any longer and burst into sobs. Now that the family is reunited, I don't want to be here, being an eyesore to everyone. With that, she ran back to her room. Catherine let go of me and hurried after her. My older brother, Michael Owens, spoke to me anxiously. Emily's been spoiled since childhood. She just can't accept it right away. Please try to understand. It was their family who had exchanged my life with hers. Now, because the one who had profited from it couldn't accept the truth, I, the one who had suffered, was being asked to understand her. What a cruel irony. Before returning to the Owens family, Jason Grant had once asked me, when your parents finally protect you, will you become gentler? My answer at the time had been, I don't know. And now, whatever little desire I had for familial love was gone completely. Why should I understand her? I asked Michael in return. He hadn't expected me to respond like that and was momentarily speechless. Why indeed should I? Understand that she had enjoyed the 16 years of wealth that belonged to me, while I was beaten and cursed like an animal in her home? Shame flickered in Michael's eyes, but he still tried to defend Emily. This wasn't her fault. Emily didn't know anything. She's a victim too. I let out a cold laugh and dropped the subject. So what you mean is, you still want to keep her here, right? Autumn, I understand how you feel, but you know our family's temperament. Emily grew up under my care. I can't bear to push her into misery now. He wasn't wrong. Even pets raise affection after so many years, let alone a child you've spoiled like your own daughter. Yes, I understand, Father. But I am your flesh and blood, while she is only an adopted daughter. I hope you won't confuse the two. Hearing that, Michael frowned. You and Emily are both daughters of the Owens family. There's no difference between biological or adopted. Emily's been racked with guilt these past days. If you go around telling others she's adopted, she's never faced such a blow before. How could she endure it? She's never faced a blow, while I've been beaten since childhood. So you think I should swallow it because I'm used to it, right? I looked him straight in the eyes, anger hidden beneath a calm voice. Michael knitted his brows slightly. That's not what I meant. I already agreed to let her stay. Don't treat me like I'm weak. If I could endure once, I can endure again. I agree with Autumn on this. Charles Owens finally spoke. Michael opened his mouth to argue, but their father stopped him with a look. He had already investigated my past 16 years. He knew how miserable my life had been. Hearing me reopen those wounds made him feel guilty. He and Michael showed me the room they had prepared, but I insisted on choosing one myself. After walking around, I stopped in front of Emily's room. Charles and Michael showed me the room they had prepared for me, but I wanted to choose my own. After walking around the house, I stopped in front of Emily's room. It was a luxurious, spacious suite at the end of the hallway. In contrast, the room my mother had prepared was on the third floor, barely half the size. "I want Emily's room," I said. "No way. What's wrong with your own room? Why do you have to take mine?" Emily shouted angrily. My eyes gleamed with sarcasm. "My room is small, but hers is big. If being a victim means living like this, then I'd gladly be one." The look in my eyes left them speechless. Even Emily fell silent. I turned away from them and looked at Charles instead, my voice softening. "Father, can you have the furniture here replaced within 3 hours?" To everyone else, I was like a hedgehog with its quills raised. Only when I looked at him did my eyes reveal a trace of reliance, because he was the only one I could depend on. Catherine still held Emily, soothing her gently. "Don't say such foolish things. You'll always be my daughter. I will never let you leave." I pretended not to hear and kept wandering around. Other than the master bedroom, Emily's was the largest room in the house. "Father, I want this room. I like the sunlight here, and I want to change all the furniture," I said calmly. At my words, Emily, who had just stopped crying, broke down again, threatening to leave. Catherine comforted her while saying to me, "This is Emily's room. We already prepared one for you. Let your brother take you there." "Come with me," Michael urged, reaching out to pull me along. I stepped back, avoiding his hand. "I've seen the other room. It's far too small compared to this one. I don't want it." I turned my cold eyes on Catherine. "The adopted daughter gets the larger room, while the biological daughter is given the smaller one. How does that make sense?" "What adopted daughter? You and Emily are both my daughters." "I know you're angry, but Emily is also a victim," Catherine said, exasperated, as if I were simply making a scene. "I'm not really a daughter of the Owens family. Just let me go and give her back her place," Emily sobbed, trying to leave. Michael caught her tightly. "You'll always be my sister. No one can ever drive you away." What a touching family drama. Their bond seemed unshakable, and it made me appear like the villain in the play. Mother and brother both insisted she was a victim. For 16 years, she had lived like a cherished princess, while I had been beaten like a dog or a pig. No, that wasn't quite right. Her biological parents must have loved her too, otherwise they would never have traded her away for a better life. Even if our lives hadn't been switched, she would never have lived miserably. When they wanted to hit me, they hit me. When they wanted to scold me, they scolded me. I paid for my schooling myself. The only reason they allowed me to study was because the higher my education, the higher my bride price would be one day. Thankfully, heaven had eyes and brought me back to the Owens family. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known how to escape them. Now I had returned, but everyone already had feelings for the fake daughter. They wanted to keep her here. The Owens family was wealthy, she would continue living in comfort and luxury. A harsh laugh escaped my throat. "She's the one who's benefited the most, yet you all call her the victim. And now, my own mother and brother don't even want me in this family." "Don't worry, Autumn. I'll make the arrangements for you," Charles agreed firmly. With money, things could be settled quickly. Emily, soothed by Catherine and Michael, finally stepped into the room that had originally been prepared for me, her eyes still red from crying. Though Charles felt guilty toward me, he didn't want his family to fall apart. He urged me to live peacefully with Emily. Soon the others left, and only he and I remained in the living room. Slowly, I dropped the strong facade I had worn, revealing a face full of sorrow, eyes brimming with tears. "Autumn, my dear, I know how much you've suffered," Charles said gently. I stubbornly wiped my tears. "Father, Mother, and Michael are too biased. They don't care about me. I don't like them. From now on, you are my only family." "You silly girl, what nonsense are you saying? Don't think too much. Of course your mother and brother care about you, he tried to reassure me. Yet despite his defense of them, the faint smile tugging at the corners of his lips betrayed his satisfaction and joy. At dinner, Emily locked herself in her room. I ate calmly, completely at ease. No matter how worried Catherine and Michael were, no matter how much they hovered over Emily, I ignored it all. Only when Charles spoke to me did I respond with genuine cheerfulness. That evening's dinner was a lavish feast, prepared to welcome me home. Every dish was exquisite, and I ate until my stomach was nearly full to bursting. Catherine watched me eat with an expression of pity in her eyes. Autumn, eat more slowly. Eating too much at night isn't good for your stomach. But almost immediately, her thoughts drifted back to her beloved daughter who was upstairs, refusing food in misery. Emily's a good girl. She's just in shock right now, shutting herself off. Don't hold it against her. Mother, stop it, Michael snapped, his tone sharp. She doesn't even care about you. Why do you waste your breath? For once, I agreed with him. I didn't want to respond to anything Catherine said. Perhaps she felt guilty toward me, perhaps she wanted to make amends, but between me and Emily, she would always choose Emily. And Emily would never allow me to grow close to her, she would stir up trouble again and again. My faith and affection for parents had long been eroded by the whips and curses of Emily's biological mother and father. I wasn't the kind of person who accepted suffering quietly, nor did I intend to live miserably ever again. In this family, the only relationship worth building was with Charles. Father, I've finished eating. May I return to my room? I asked, looking only at him. Charles assumed I was still sulking and reminded me gently. Remember to sleep early. Tomorrow we'll take care of your enrollment paperwork at school. Yes, Father. Catherine seemed troubled by my coldness. Michael looked openly angry. The moment I connected to the internet, a flood of messages poured in, all asking whether the Owens family was treating me well. I ignored them all except for one chat with Jason Grant. He was the only one I trusted to keep things under control. Don't worry, I typed. His reply came almost instantly. Why would you be worried? If anything, it's the Owens family who should be concerned. Seems like they've already let you down, haven't they? My hand brushed over a row of luxury handbags, my lips curving slightly. The Owens fortune hadn't disappointed me in the least. I was more than satisfied with what lay before me. Emily wasn't entirely stupid. After the room incident yesterday, she was noticeably more obedient this morning. Catherine and Michael looked at her with eyes full of pity, while Charles seemed pleased. Over breakfast, he even suggested Emily should look after me at school. Emily nodded sweetly, but the moment we got into the car, her expression changed. She looked at me with arrogance, her voice dripping with hidden malice. I'll take good care of you. Is that so? I'll be counting on you, I replied with a smile. At New York's most prestigious academy, Emily was treated like royalty. Backed by the Owens name, no one dared defy her. When I followed her into the gates, curious eyes immediately turned toward me. A classmate asked Emily. Who's she? I've never seen her before. She came with you, so is she family? At the word family, Emily's face hardened. She's just a stray puppy I picked up. The moment those words left her lips, the stares directed at me shifted, strange, mocking, dark. I went to meet my homeroom teacher first, then followed her into morning study session. She led me to the podium and asked me to introduce myself. My eyesight was sharp. Even from the door, I spotted the only empty seat. The books on the desk had been torn apart and splattered with yogurt. Clearly, someone had prepared a spectacle. From their seats, the spoiled sons and daughters of New York's elite watched me with gleeful anticipation. Emily sat in the same class. She curled her lips into a smirk, her gaze taunting me. Honestly, I hadn't expected her to be this foolish. I stood on the podium and smiled warmly. Hello everyone, my name is Autumn Owens. My father is Charles Owens, head of Owens Holdings. I am his only daughter. I could see Emily's face twisting with anger. My mother, Emily's biological mother, once worked as a nanny in our house. She was the one who cruelly switched our lives. Gasps rippled through the classroom as I calmly exposed what most would consider a family scandal. But my parents are kind-hearted. They adopted Emily, and she will continue living with us. The shocking story spread like wildfire across the room. Classmates turned their eyes from me to Emily, whispering, "Is that true? So Emily's been the fake heiress all along? No wonder, the new girl really does look exactly like the Owens family." Emily couldn't endure the whispers any longer. She suddenly shouted, "Shut up." The classroom fell silent at once. I met her hateful eyes calmly, walked over to the messy desk, and glanced around the room. No one dared meet my gaze. "What's going on here?" I asked with a smile. The homeroom teacher's face paled immediately. She ordered the desk and chair replaced. A few boys jumped up to help, and within minutes I had a new set of furniture and fresh books. Emily sat directly behind me, grinding her teeth as she hissed under her breath. "You dared expose this without father and mother's permission. They won't forgive you." Her foolishness made me laugh. "I'm their real daughter. I only told the truth. What could they possibly do to me?" My words pierced right into Emily's deepest fear. Her voice turned vicious. "I'll show you who the real heiress of the Owens family is." The moment class ended, she stormed out and didn't return for the next 2 periods. At lunchtime, I received a message. Heiress and Sterling wanted to see me in the student council office. The Owens and Sterling families were the 2 most powerful dynasties in New York. Heiress and Sterling was the heir to the Sterling fortune. He and Emily had been betrothed since childhood sweethearts bound by deep affection. No doubt Emily had run to him with complaints of being bullied, and now he summoned me to defend her honor. With heirs of such powerful families pampering her, it was no wonder Emily had the audacity to challenge me. The student council at this school was run by heirs of New York's wealthiest and most influential families. I was eager to step into that office and meet them face to face. The school had reserved an entire building exclusively for the council. Because its members were heirs of powerful corporations, it was the most luxurious building on campus. I walked through its corridors, savoring the taste of wealth and power. Once, I had been nothing but a poor girl struggling to survive at the bottom of this city. Now, I stood at the very peak of the pyramid. The elevator carried me straight to the top floor, where the heirs lounged on a curved sofa by the floor-to-ceiling glass windows. Harrison and Emily occupied the center. In his presence, Emily had shed all her arrogance. She was delicate and pitiful, leaning against him like a fragile willow needing shelter. Harrison gently stroked her hair, his eyes full of pity. "She actually dared to come?" "Bold of her," one of the heirs sneered, his tone mocking, as though watching a play. Everyone's eyes turned toward me. Harrison's gaze was cold, his handsome face dark with brewing storm. Back in elementary school, I had heard whispers about him, how the Sterling heir was so striking he could be a movie star. Now, seeing him in person, I realized the rumors hadn't been exaggerated. I gave him a look of casual appreciation before turning my eyes to the other student council members. Most of them were not bad-looking themselves. "You see us and don't even greet us? Don't you know any manners?" A boy tapped a baseball bat against the floor, smirking with malice. I knew who he was, Alastair Wallace, youngest son of the Fallengen Corporation, Harrison's childhood friend, and one of the school's so-called top 3 heartthrobs. His status here existed only because Harrison allowed it. He tried to provoke me while the others looked on with amusement. I stood tall in the grand hall, alone but unwavering. My voice was cold when I replied. "You want me to greet you? Who exactly do you think you are?" Alastair's grin froze the moment he realized who I was. "What's wrong? Cat got your tongue? Didn't you demand I greet you? Go ahead, introduce yourself properly so I'll know how to address you." I had no intention of letting him off easily. Every word I spoke was heavy and sharp, pressing down on him. Even his father wouldn't dare speak so arrogantly to me now, yet this boy, emboldened by Harrison's favor, thought he could. "Autumn, Alastair was only joking," Emily said softly, rushing to cover for him. At once, Alastair looked at her with gratitude, while Harrison's face darkened even further. "Oh, he was joking. Then I must have misunderstood," I replied coolly. In that case, I'll joke with him like this every day from now on. Would that be acceptable? Emily feigned fear, speaking softly. Don't call me that. No one even knows who was born first. Stop calling me sister so casually. I looked at her with impatience, my voice laced with disgust. Our family raised you all these years and never treated you badly. Yet when I was bullied, not only did you refuse to help, you sided with outsiders. Truly ungrateful. At my words, Emily began sobbing, tears streaming down her face. How could Harrison endure seeing the girl he loved in such misery? His hand clenched into a fist, his voice dropping dangerously low. Shut your mouth. If I hadn't been a girl, he probably would have punched me square in the face. Autumn Owens, let me warn you, Emily is my fiancée. If you dare bully her again, don't blame me for what comes next. I laughed lightly, tilting my head. And how exactly do you plan not to spare me? You don't want to know. The killing intent in his eyes was unmistakable. In New York, if the Sterling heir wanted someone to disappear, all it would take was a single word. But one thing was certain, an Owens heiress would never be on that list. I understood exactly what he was implying, and I couldn't stop myself from laughing out loud. The others didn't understand why I found it so amusing. A few even looked at me like I had lost my mind. They were all far too used to Harrison's arrogance. But I wasn't so easily intimidated. Do you think being called young Master Sterling a few times makes you the Crown Prince of New York? Harrison, who had been praised since birth, had never been spoken to this way. His face darkened instantly. I don't repeat myself, he said coldly. Emily clutched his hand, coaxing softly. Harrison, don't be angry. She's the real daughter of the Owens family. The fact that she lets me stay at all, I'm already so grateful. I'm too gentle, that's why she bullies me. Harrison soothed her gently, his eyes filled with pity. Mrs. Owens and the others love you like their own. With me here, don't be afraid. No one will ever hurt you. A few of Emily's close friends chimed in supportively. She just climbed up the social ladder and now she dares act arrogant. No wonder Michael told us to take care of Emily. He must have known she'd get bullied. Michael and Harrison both protect Emily. You'd better learn your place. So that was it. No wonder these people dared to challenge me, they had already been instructed by Michael himself. He spoiled his adopted sister so much he feared she'd suffer even the slightest grievance. This meeting had been a trap from the start, meant to accuse and suppress me. But them? They weren't nearly enough. I fixed a cold stare on the three who had spoken. They quickly realized that if I chose to target them, no one here would stand in their defense. My lips curved into a faint, mocking smile as I lifted my chin and strode toward the sofa at the center. As I passed Harrison and Emily, Emily reached out dramatically, tears streaming, trying to grab me. I frowned and shook her hand off. She deliberately collapsed backward into Harrison's arms. She was his beloved, and love had blinded his reason. No matter how obvious her act was, he only saw her as suffering. Fury exploded in him, and he raised his hand. I didn't flinch. His slap landed with full force, the impact ringing in my ears, my face swelling instantly. The hall filled with gasps. Emily hid behind him, her lips curving into a victorious smile. I raised my hand to my stinging cheek, but the smile tugging at my lips couldn't be suppressed. A spark of exhilaration lit my eyes. You struck first. Before the others could recover from the shock of the Sterling heir striking the Owens heiress, I counterattacked. My moves were ruthless. I slammed him down, stomped his lower body, yanked his hair, and nearly smashed his head into the floor. If I'd gone any further, he might not have survived. People rushed forward to drag me off. I let them, stepping back leisurely before dropping myself onto the central sofa with ease. Only then did Emily dare run to Harrison's side, sobbing as she clung to him. Harrison writhed in pain on the floor, his eyes filled with both fury and disbelief. He had never expected to lose against me, nor for me to fight so viciously. But unlike him, a pampered golden boy who only fought recklessly, I had fought every battle for survival. To win, I had to be ruthless. I had to be cruel. I hear you all call this seat the throne, I said, lounging on the sofa. Sitting on the throne feels pretty good. I leaned back against the sofa, speaking cheerfully. My jacket hung half-torn, my left cheek swollen red, my hair a tangled mess, yet the corners of my lips curved with a careless smile. To the others, I must have looked deranged. But that very madness of mine subdued them. Heirs who were normally arrogant and untouchable now stood frozen in silence. Emily's voice rang out clearly in the stillness. Sister, it's one thing to bully me, but how could you hit Harrison? The Sterling family won't forgive you. Oh, are you trying to scare me? I'm so terrified, I mocked, patting my chest lightly, my tone utterly indifferent. What's the school's policy on student fights again? I pulled out my phone and dialed the principal right in front of everyone. Principal, Harrison hit me. Miss Autumn, are you all right? The principal stammered. Could it be some kind of misunderstanding with young Master Sterling? No misunderstanding. I hit him too. I hung up. Everyone stared at me as though I were insane. Michael stood firmly on Emily's side. As for me, though I was the true daughter, I had never been spoiled by the Owens family. Instead of trying to smooth things over after striking the Sterling heir, I was escalating it. A fight between the children of Owens and Sterling families, no school dared treat that lightly. After notifying both families, the school doctor was summoned at once to check our injuries. Emily wept, blaming herself before Harrison. It's all my fault. If it weren't for me, you and she wouldn't have fought. Harrison gently wiped away her tears. It's not your fault. She attacked you first. No one is allowed to hurt you in front of me. At that, I rolled my eyes. I had only brushed her hand away, she hadn't been injured at all. Being called young master all his life had made Harrison arrogant, untouchable. To him, bullying others was natural, but if anyone resisted, it was unforgivable. The one who arrived for the Sterling family was Harrison's mother. She had been shopping nearby when she got the call. Knowing her son would never admit defeat, she walked in calmly. Sure enough, when she arrived, Harrison was sitting upright on the sofa, looking unscathed. Meanwhile, I sat there with half my face swollen, hair in disarray, a far more pitiful sight. Harrison, how could you strike so hard? She frowned at him. What on earth happened? If someone else hit you, that's one thing, but this is the long-lost daughter of the Owens family. Harrison's face darkened. She didn't hold back either. And where exactly are you injured? She asked. He couldn't answer. My blows had landed on weak points, leaving no visible marks, silencing him completely. All he could do was glare at me in fury and spit out. Coward. Coward, that was what I had always been, and perhaps what I would always be. Emily quickly interjected with guilt. Aunt Clara, it was all my fault. Harrison only fought because he was trying to protect me. Harrison immediately objected. This has nothing to do with you. She attacked you first. Watching them, Harrison's mother understood everything. Her son had stepped into the Owens family's internal conflict because of Emily. She glared at him, then hurried over to me, consulting the school doctor. Learning that I had been slapped hard enough to cause ringing in my ears, thankfully temporary, though potentially dangerous, she struck Harrison lightly a few times. I noticed how little force she used. Autumn, she said gently, on Harrison's behalf, I apologize. Don't worry, when we get home his father and I will not let him off easily. Just then Catherine and Michael arrived. They rushed straight to Emily, checking her over with frantic worry. Only after confirming she was unharmed did they look at Harrison, and finally, reluctantly, at me. Autumn, what happened to your face? Catherine asked. Hearing that, Emily burst into tears again, clutching her hand. Mother, it's all my fault. If not for me, Harrison wouldn't have fought with her. Harrison quickly contradicted her. She struck you first. Stop taking all the blame yourself. She hit you again? Michael demanded, his voice sharp. Michael's expression shifted instantly when he looked at me, his eyes filled with disgust and anger. Autumn Owens, don't go too far. Catherine, who had always known Harrison to protect Emily since childhood, found his actions somewhat understandable. Autumn, why did you hit Emily? She asked, her face heavy with disappointment. I've told you before, both you and Emily are my daughters. Stop targeting her. The Owens family mother and son stood firmly on Emily's side, while the other students looked at me with either ridicule or pity. Harrison's mother looked surprised but kept silent, as if the matter didn't concern her. Emily, your acting skills really were impressive. You shouldn't have studied dance. You should have gone into acting. I clapped my hands lightly, mocking her. I wasn't acting. How could you say that? She whispered, glancing at Michael for help. He was just about to speak up for his precious little one when I cut him off. Shut your mouth. I've given you plenty of time already. Haven't you said enough? I only need 5 minutes to state the facts. I shot him a cold glare. Something quite interesting happened this morning at school. Why don't you all listen? I pulled out my phone and played a recording I had clipped during break. Who's she? I've never seen her before. She came in your car, so is she family? Emily's voice followed clearly from the recording. Just a little dog I brought along. I flipped my hair back, exposing the swollen half of my face fully to the room, my eyes like ice. Tell me, what exactly does little dog mean? Everyone knew the term. Anyone who crossed the student council was labeled a puppy. From then on, the whole school would ridicule and torment them until they couldn't bear it and left. Everyone present, except the parents, understood the meaning perfectly, but no one dared answer. Shock spread across Michael's and Harrison's faces. Both turned toward Emily. She shook her head frantically, panicked, unable to explain away the recording. Emily, why would you call Autumn that? Catherine asked in horror. Blood ties really are miraculous, I sneered. Her biological parents called me a dog, and now she calls me a dog too. Truly, like parent, like child. Catherine and Michael both looked guilty, but they still thought family shame shouldn't be aired in public. They quickly tried to stop me. Autumn, whatever it is, let's talk about it at home. Oh. Just now you all berated me in front of everyone without a second thought. But when it's Emily's turn to look bad, suddenly you want me to keep quiet? You really are her kind mother and her good brother. My words dripped with sarcasm. Catherine's face drained of color. She tried again to explain. In my heart, you are both the same. I let out a short laugh and continued. Before coming here, I checked the school forum. Emily is called the Queen. After she told people I was a puppy, the forum was ecstatic. They were already plotting ways to torment me to please her. I turned my phone to show them screenshots. Want to join the group? I can share it with you. No one answered. No. All right then. The students at this school were efficient in their cruelty. By the time my homeroom teacher led me to class this morning, my desk had already been drenched in yogurt and soda, the new textbooks ripped to shreds. But the teachers here worked quickly too. At my request, the homeroom teacher had pulled the surveillance footage. By the end of second period, I already had the video. I played it for everyone. Still don't want to join the group? Maybe this isn't clear enough. The student council members stared in disbelief. They had bullied countless students before, but this was the first time they had met someone who liked to keep evidence. The footage showed Emily sitting right behind me, laughing as they tore apart my books. Truly, the Owens family had raised a wolf in human skin. As the video played, I spoke again. To protect myself, I revealed my identity as the true daughter of the Owens family. Emily didn't like it. She threatened me, saying she'd show me who the only real daughter was. After that, she didn't go back to class. She must have run straight to find Harrison, I said. At the mention of his name, my lips curled into a mocking smile as I played another recording. Who was looking for me? Harrison was. Hurry to the student council office. If you're late, he'll be mad. Gasps rippled through the crowd. She had even recorded this. I raised my brows, saying nothing. In all my years, I had never fought a battle unprepared. Harrison's threats, his warnings of what he'd do to me, were all recorded. Harrison's mother was a sharp woman. She could clearly see Emily had been fanning the flames again and again. Exposed now, Emily had nothing left but tears. "I'm sorry. I was just scared," she sobbed. "I was afraid once people knew I wasn't the real daughter, they'd look down on me. The moment you came back, you took my room. I was terrified you'd take everything from me, throw me out. I was so scared." Emily's helpless cries, the tears of a girl spoiled her entire life. She had never endured an ounce of real suffering. For the past 2 days she had cried almost non-stop, and Catherine and Michael's hearts softened. Michael turned to me. "I understand now. Autumn, you were wronged. That's enough, Autumn. Don't say any more. I'll take you to the hospital to check your face," Catherine added. I laughed instead, and called the police right in front of them. Michael lunged to snatch the phone, but I slapped him hard across the face. Shock flashed in his eyes as I calmly recited the address to the police. When the call was done, I looked at him coldly. "This isn't over." Then I turned to Harrison, raising my voice. "You said I hit Emily first, that's why you struck me. So tell me now, how exactly did I hit her? Did I punch her? Kick her?" My questions were sharp, merciless. Even arrogant Harrison faltered, unable to answer. "If you won't say it, I will," I pressed. She grabbed me. I shook her hand off. "That's it. That's what you call hitting her?" I pointed to my swollen face, my voice rising. This is what hitting looks like. I was beaten like this, yet my own family tells me to keep quiet and endure humiliation. You refuse me justice, then the police will grant it. Half my life has been spent being bullied. I've endured enough. Now I have my father. I am the true daughter of the Owens family. No one will ever bully me again. By the end, I was shouting. Tears spilled over, and I stubbornly wiped them away with my sleeve. I had always told myself I was indifferent, but the truth was, some wounds had never healed. The great hall fell into a suffocating silence. Catherine's face crumpled in regret, and she reached for me, crying, but I shoved her hand away. Michael's eyes were complicated, as if he wanted to say something, but in the end he stayed silent. With the police already called, Harrison's mother could no longer ignore it. She stepped forward, intending to apologize for her son. To her surprise, I thanked her. "What? Thank me? Why?" she asked, startled. "Because you were the only one who asked the school doctor about my injury," I said softly. "I'm grateful for that kindness." My eyes shimmered with unshed tears. Though she resented me for calling the police, Harrison's mother's heart softened when she saw my pitiful state. "Thank you, Aunt. But Harrison is grown. He needs to be responsible for his actions." She could say no more, anything further would only sound hollow. I lifted my chin, held back my tears, and walked quickly out of the hall. Michael caught up, grabbing my hand near the elevator. His voice was weary. "Do you really have to do this?" He tried to justify himself. "This was Emily's fault. She feels unsafe. She was afraid you'd push her out, so she lashed out first. Then he promised. When we get home, I'll make her apologize to you." I yanked my hand free, brushing off the spot he'd touched as if it were filthy. "Stop pretending. Michael, you graduated from this school, you know very well what being called a puppy means, don't you?" He fell silent at my words. "All this time, are you still blaming Mother and me?" he asked finally. I shook my head. "No. I've already said it, blood is a miraculous thing. You and I are the same. If it had been you who was switched years ago, then after you came back, I would have protected your foster brother too." I stepped into the elevator and pressed the close button. Michael tried to slip in to keep arguing. "I advise you not to get involved with me," I warned coldly. "Otherwise, I can't promise I'll keep my mouth shut." An heiress facing school violence, the sterling heir shielding a fake daughter, every headline like that would draw enormous attention. At that, Michael hesitated, pulling his foot back. He warned me not to cause trouble, but the doors slid shut, just as I wished. Foolish brother. Of course I knew Emily's plan was to strike first and intimidate me, because her goal and mine were the same. Everyone from the rooftop was escorted to the police station. For heirs raised carefully their entire lives to become successors, this was the first time they had been dragged into a precinct. The medical report showed my injuries were classified as minor. The police informed Harrison's mother and advised that he apologize sincerely and try to reconcile. If I refused, her son could face temporary detention. At the mention of detention, Emily grew even more anxious than Harrison's mother. But Harrison's hurt too, she protested, wanting him to undergo an examination. But his wounds were too discreet, and Harrison only shook his head, silently glancing at me. His mother tugged him forward to apologize, but he pressed his lips tight, refusing to bow. Catherine and Michael chimed in on his behalf. The Owens and Sterling families appeared close in public, neither side wanted to offend the other. I sat coldly in the mediation room, unmoved no matter how many tried to persuade me. Not until word of the incident reached the higher powers of both families did things shift. When Charles arrived, fury was etched across his forehead. In his eyes, my stubborn refusal to let Harrison off was reckless. I had maintained a cold mask until the moment I saw him. Then, I stripped it all away. My face crumpled, tears spilling as I sobbed and threw myself into his arms. Whatever he meant to say was swallowed by my crying. Father, finally you're here. They all bullied me. The sudden change in my demeanor left Catherine and Michael, who had been pleading with me moments earlier, looking utterly awkward. Still crying, I recounted the entire story to Charles, tilting my tear-streaked face up to him with complete trust. I was always bullied before. But now I have you, Father, you'll be my support. My words pleased him. Charles patted my back gently, his voice soft with reassurance. You've suffered, Autumn. Of course I'll be your support. Meanwhile, Sterling's father was berating Harrison. His son's eyes burned with hatred for me, undisguised disgust twisting his handsome face. For the Sterling heir, this was perhaps the most humiliating moment of his life. I pretended to shrink back in fear, tears brimming again. His eyes are terrifying. He'll definitely hit me again at school. Sterling's father exploded, kicking Harrison and demanding he apologize. When his son refused, he raised his foot again. Harrison's mother rushed between them. He's stubborn, kicking him won't help. The police suggested separating us temporarily, advising that the families talk things over later. Harrison's mother pulled him out, and the others were called away too. Soon, only Charles and I remained in the mediation room. I knew he wouldn't jeopardize his alliance with the Sterlings for me. So, after crying a bit longer, I wiped my tears stubbornly, tucked my hair behind my ear to expose my swollen cheek, and spoke first. Father, you're the only one who's ever treated me well. I don't want to make things hard for you. I'll agree to sign the settlement papers. The daughter who bristled like a hedgehog before outsiders now willing to swallow humiliation for his sake, it softened Charles's heart. Good girl, Autumn. But I added pointedly, still, Father, if he isn't punished, he'll only keep bullying me at school. Charles's eyes glinted. Don't worry. I'll make sure Uncle Sterling disciplines Harrison, so he won't dare touch you again. Just a hint from me, and the old fox understood perfectly. After a long private conversation with Sterling's father, Charles returned beaming, clearly satisfied with whatever deal had been struck. Sterling's father would pay, and Harrison would be punished at home. Back at the Owens estate, Charles reviewed the evidence I had provided to the police. Emily trembled, her hands clenched tightly, eyes shimmering with helpless tears. After understanding everything, Charles scolded her harshly, cut off her credit cards, and ordered her to apologize to me. Though this daughter had been cherished like a jewel since childhood, though he was disappointed, Charles could not bring himself to truly cast her aside. My attitude was firm, I refused to accept Emily's apology. I don't want to make things difficult for Father, so I won't pursue this any further. But you stole my identity to live the life you have now. My whole family has been your benefactor. Don't you dare repay kindness with betrayal again. Emily's face twisted, her eyes brimming with tears. Michael couldn't hold back and spoke up for her. Emily already apologized. Why do you have to be so harsh? I let out a small laugh. Harsh? I'm nothing compared to you. Weren't the student council brats emboldened to humiliate me because you spoke first? He fell silent, mouth opening as if to argue, but no words came. I didn't want to waste another second on them. Claiming I was tired, I left for my room. At dinner, Emily knocked on my door. The moment she saw me, her eyes glinted with venom. You started recording the moment you entered school. You did it on purpose, didn't you? You're a malicious woman. All of us fell into your trap. I only laughed and slipped a hand into her coat pocket, pulling out her phone. As expected, it was recording. I stopped it, then laughed so hard I had to lean against the door. Idiot. You already know what kind of person I am. Next time, tuck your tail between your legs and stop pulling stupid tricks in front of me. She glared, dissatisfied. I'd had my fun, so I shut the door in her face. As I passed, I added lightly. You've lived as the Owens heiress for over a decade, yet you still need men to fight your battles. Truly pathetic. Ignoring whatever expression twisted her face behind me, I happily went downstairs. At the table, Emily ate timidly, only picking food after glancing at me for cues, making Catherine and Michael ache with pity. Even Charles couldn't stand it and placed food in her bowl. In this house, eat whatever you like, he said. Emily nodded gratefully, her eyes shining. She was about to speak, but I cut her off. Father, I want to join the student council. Emily froze, her fingers gripping her chopsticks so tightly they turned white. Of course. I'll arrange it, Charles said. The Owens family donated large sums to the school each year. Membership was only a word away. Soon, both Emily and I became vice presidents of the council. The only difference was that Emily had volunteered for the role, while I, lacking Harrison's management experience, wasn't yet positioned to replace him. This elite academy was like a miniature society. Before, people had bullied me to please Emily. Now that my true identity was revealed, they flocked to curry favor with me instead. I didn't hold grudges. I took in many followers quickly and built my own power base at school. On one condition, my grades could not suffer. I pushed myself in English, hired top golf and tennis coaches, and trained every day. My schedule was exhausting. Recently, Catherine kept trying to mend things with me, but Emily was always by her side, twisting words and sowing discord. Time and again, Catherine fell for it. Often, I felt it was a waste even to listen. Michael's arrogant pride made him unwilling to bow his head. Now and then he'd ask casually about my situation. I responded perfunctorily, not wanting to speak with him. After I exposed her, Emily became strangely obedient, pouting, acting spoiled, trying desperately to patch things up with the Owens family. She often flaunted their affection before me. Many felt indignant on my behalf, but I didn't care. Emily had grown up basking in the family's love, a bond one could never replace. Their guilt toward me was shallow. Deep down, they still favored her. Day after day, wrangling with Emily was idiotic and meaningless. Their guilt and concessions could be put to better use elsewhere. One day, I happened to run into Harrison and Emily at a familiar tennis club. I acted as though I hadn't seen them and turned to leave. But Harrison called after me. Autumn Owens. His tone was icy, his expression dark. I will not be engaged to you. My fiancée can only be Emily. So, it wasn't coincidence. They had come here for me. Emily stood at his side, eyes shimmering with tears. Sister, please don't come between us. That the Sterling family might change their engagement target was something I had already anticipated. After all, what they truly wanted was the dowry shares that the Owens daughter would bring. Emily may have been raised in the Owens household, but how much she would receive was uncertain. I just hadn't expected it to come so soon. We were only in 11th grade. Far too early. Emily had been the Owens family's daughter for so many years, yet she still didn't even understand the true intentions of the Sterling family. When trouble came, all she knew was to cause me problems, pathetic and useless. What did you come to me for? My tone was indifferent, as if none of this mattered. Stop pretending. I warn you, quit playing dirty tricks behind Uncle Owens's back. These words came from the future heir of the Sterling family. Even as someone newly stepping into this gilded world, I could see it clearly. Could Harrison not? Whether he didn't want to believe or was truly foolish, I wasn't interested. Remember this, I said coolly. I am the real daughter of the Owens family. And you, my eyes slid to Emily with a sneer, you're nothing more than a pet my family raised. Don't dream of things that were never yours. Both of them bristled at my words. Harrison declared furiously that he would never marry a woman as cruel as me, that Emily was his only fiancée. I was pleased with his reaction and fanned the flames further. Big words mean nothing. If you've got the ability, convince your parents not to change the engagement. My words choked him silent, his face darkening like ink. As I turned to leave, I added with a mocking laugh. Do your best. I'll be looking forward to the engagement party. A blatant provocation. Just as I expected, Harrison lost his temper at home, making a scene with the Sterlings. Meanwhile, Emily wept day after day at the Owens estate, desperate to prove how much the family adored her. As for the engagement, the Owens family all agreed. To Charles, marrying off his foster daughter would allow him to retain those shares without question. To Catherine and Michael, Emily and Harrison had been childhood sweethearts, and trusting her to him felt natural and safe. On this matter, each of them came to speak with me. Charles praised my academic performance, telling me I was still young, that I should focus on studying and not think about such things. He was proud of me. Catherine showed me photo albums of Emily and Harrison from childhood to adolescence, urging me not to interfere in their relationship. Michael told me that someday he would find me a man as outstanding as Harrison. Emily whispered to them that I liked Harrison, and they believed her. Soon the rumor spread through school that I was infatuated with him, that everything I did was just to attract his attention. In the eyes of others, Michael and Harrison were equally dazzling heirs, while Emily and I were simply the choices of Harrison's heart. To the outside world, it was laughable. But then came the midterm results. I ranked first in the entire grade, scoring more than 40 points higher than the second-place student, the highest mark ever since the academy was founded. Michael, back in his year, had only managed to place in the top 20, barely scraping into Harvard with minimum scores. My results far surpassed his. Yet in their eyes, sons were destined heirs, to be poured into with every resource. Daughters, though outwardly cherished, were never entrusted with real power. At the proper age, they were to be married off to advance the sons' careers. But I hadn't grown up on their honeyed affections. Whether they pampered me or not didn't matter. Marriage might guarantee me a comfortable life, but everything would be granted at another's whim. I would always live under someone else's shadow. Before, when I was stuck in the mud, if anyone had pulled me out, I would have paid any price. But now, I was an Owens heiress. By law, I held equal inheritance rights with Michael. Having lived too long at the bottom, I would never give up any chance to climb. Harrison was the Sterling family's only son. His parents didn't want to be too harsh, so outwardly they compromised, saying we were all too young, that this matter could wait until college. When Emily rushed to tell me this news, I was in the middle of tennis practice. I only murmured an acknowledgement and kept swinging. My indifference made her stomp her feet in frustration. Even with Sterling's father softening the matter, she still felt insecure, still pointing her spear at me. No doubt she thought if my reputation turned foul, the Sterling family would never let me through their doors. The people she hired worked fast. Not long after, a post titled "Exposing the Scandalous Love Life of an Heiress" went viral on the school forum, attracting thousands of comments. The poster claimed to be an old classmate of mine. The article contained secretly snapped photos of me with male classmates back in middle school. None of the actions in the pictures were particularly intimate, but they weren't exactly innocent either. I had once hitched a ride from one boy, handed a drink to another, even chatted privately with one in a quiet corner of campus. The writer used those images to spin endless fabrications. At the end, Jason Grant, the school's most popular boy, was mentioned, with speculation that he was my current boyfriend. Thanks to Emily's deliberate push, the post spread like wildfire. Even Jason found out. He reached out to me. "Do you need me to help with this?" I replied. "No need. Even without the Summers Corporation, there's still the Parkers, the Pritzkers. The Owens family will always find partners. I only hope Emily stirs things up further so my reputation falls and no one dares marry me. I heard life among the elite is complicated. Are you having a hard time? How could it be hard? A life of wealth and power is wonderful. I'm doing just fine. I paused before finishing. For years, he had looked after me with care. I transferred him 20 million as thanks. After that, I told him not to contact me again. Then I deleted all my old classmates and left the group chat I had pinned for years. Jason was right, the world of the elite was deep and treacherous. I didn't want them dragged into it. That was perhaps the last bit of conscience left in me. He didn't accept the money. After 24 hours, it bounced back into my account. Knowing him, he must have been angry that I had cheapened our bond with money. Sometimes, I admired him. His family had shielded him from all hardship, even in love, he didn't care about wealth. The post's influence grew and eventually reached the elders of both the Owens and Sterling families. Charles came to speak with me. In front of him, I played the obedient daughter, my tone wounded. They were only classmates, nothing more. Back in middle school, I was juggling both work and study. The pressure at school number 1 was intense. To stay in the top ranks, every day was filled with work and study, I had no time for meaningless distractions. I was always in the top 5 there. Even after coming to the Owens family, I still study past midnight. Of course, he believed me. Father, I have a math competition soon. I don't want this nonsense to distract me. Please handle it for me. He nodded, agreeing, clearly concerned about my competition. After I left his study, the maid told me Catherine was waiting in the music room. There, Catherine and Michael were guiding Emily through piano practice. The moment I entered, all 3 of them dropped their smiles. Emily tilted her head, the corner of her eye lifting smugly. You're here. What do you want? I ignored her and turned to Catherine. What's the story behind that post? Michael spoke first, but Catherine quickly asked me directly. Her voice was cold. Autumn, you're still young. Focus on your studies. Whatever happened in the past, from now on you mustn't associate with those people again. So that's what this is about? I don't see what's worth asking, I said evenly. My brother has had more than a few girlfriends himself. Even now, people still bring up his fling with Miss Lynn. If someone isn't romantic, what's the point of life? And as a beautiful, wealthy heiress, of course I've had countless admirers. But don't worry, I know my limits. I'd never let some worthless man step through our doors. What are you saying? The 3 of them stared at me as if I were insane. I was speaking plain English, yet Catherine and Michael gaped, ready to scold me. I cut them off immediately. You, one with a list of ex-girlfriends too long to count, and another who parades her foster daughter into a marriage bed before she's even grown. I truly don't know what right you think you have to lecture me. Then I turned my eyes on Emily. And this idiot you've raised, other than relying on men, all she can do is spread petty rumors about me online. Useless. With that, I turned and left, ignoring their reactions. Emily cried out behind me, wounded. That's not true. I'm not like that, how could you think of me that way? Michael muttered. She's crazy. Don't pay her any mind. He had warned Emily that I was insane, but she didn't seem to care. One afternoon after school, one of Emily's lackeys suddenly rushed up to me and shouted. Autumn Owens, I saw Jason Grant from school number 1 at the school gate. Is he here for you? The words instantly drew the attention of everyone nearby. I knew Jason's character too well. After that slanderous post, he would never approach me on his own. His presence at the gate could only mean someone was pulling strings behind the scenes. Pushing through the crowd, I glanced toward the stairwell. Emily stood there with Harrison, her expression twisted in anger, her mouth running non-stop. I could guess easily, she was probably spewing filth about me, hoping Harrison would despise me even more. Ignoring the murmurs around me, I walked straight toward her. She raised her voice angrily in front of everyone. Didn't Mother forbid you from seeing those people anymore? I smirked. You really love calling me sister, don't you? But dear little sister, this time you've gone too far. Up until now, Emily's little tricks had all worked to my advantage. I had let her play, going along with it. But I had already decided to cut Jason out of this mess. For her to drag him in now, this made me truly angry. I grabbed her hair and yanked her forward. Before anyone could react, I slapped her across the face several times. It had been a while since I'd used my fists. A few strikes left me refreshed, almost exhilarated. Gasps erupted all around, joined by Harrison's furious shout. His fist shot toward me. I released Emily, stepped back easily, and laughed. Sterling Air, you really enjoy meddling in Owen's family business, don't you? Or are you reminiscing about the day you followed me to the police station? Cradling Emily, his fury deepened, his fists tightening as he tried to break free and hit me. His friends rushed to restrain him. Emily clutched her reddened face, hair in disarray, her eyes gleaming like a venomous snake. She hissed bitterly. You dare hit me, my parents will never forgive you. I sneered. You called me sister, didn't you? When sisters fight, what can parents really say? Besides, you're only adopted. Remember that, little sister, and don't provoke me again. I raised the same hand I'd used to strike her, waving it arrogantly toward Harrison. See clearly? This is what it means to lay hands on someone. Provoked, Harrison burst with strength, shaking off those restraining him. But they pulled him back again immediately. He could only watch my retreating back, cursing me as vicious. Clearly, after the police incident, the Sterling family had instructed his friends not to let him interfere in Owen's family affairs again. School number 1 and my academy were separated by only a single street. Jason often passed through this area, he was familiar with it. He wasn't at the gate as rumored, but crouched behind a row of bushes across the road, staring anxiously at his phone. If you didn't look carefully, you'd never notice him. I sighed and walked over. Get in the car with me, I said calmly. His face lit with surprise and relief, though his movements were awkward. He stayed silent the entire ride. When we arrived at my apartment gate, we stepped out together. Only after the car drove off into the distance did I ask why he had come. He explained that someone had mailed him an envelope full of candid photos of me, along with a note asking him to meet at the school gate today. I took the envelope and asked. Did you record it? Yes. Send the file to my email. Jason froze, staring at his phone for a long time without moving. The school's number 1 heartthrob, usually brimming with arrogance, now looked timid. His voice was small, hesitant. Does it really have to be this way? I felt a flicker of helplessness. Whoever had taken so many photos of me in uniform clearly had powerful backing. And yet Jason, so innocent, still thought it was a simple matter of feelings. I like you. I hadn't expected he'd say it outright. His ears flushed red, maybe from embarrassment, but his voice was firm. I like you. Too bad I don't feel the same. The truth is, I was only using you. Back in 10th grade, when I was sick of being harassed, I hung around you just to fend people off. Every coincidental meeting was staged by me. I know. You knew? That surprised me. I've used countless people like you, I continued coldly. To me, that's all men like you are. Emily's post had a few truths buried in it. To get what I want, I've used so many people, men and women alike, I don't even remember them all. Jason Grant, you must see clearly how ruthless I can be. I know everything. He looked at me, his young eyes burning with determination, almost searing me. I laughed. In all these years, you're the most foolish boy I've ever met. You see my true self and still throw yourself at me. Jason Grant, I remember you were the top student once, directly admitted to school number 1. Yeah, he said, dazed, not understanding why I mentioned it. There's still time. Work hard. Get into Harvard. Graduate, and then come work at Owens Holdings for me. The chill in my face softened, I smiled gently. I think you're weak in influence. You'll need loyal people by your side. His joy burst out, radiant and unrestrained, his eyes shining. "I'll do it. I'll get into Harvard." Once, Jason had been first or second in the whole city. After his parents' divorce, he rebelled silently by letting himself slip. Still, his grades were in the top 100. With just a bit of effort, Harvard was within reach. What I lacked at Owens Holdings were not contacts with wealth, but people without power who would be wholeheartedly loyal to me. Jason was exactly that. After slapping the Owens family's darling across the face, my phone wouldn't stop ringing on the way home. Charles was busy, Michael had his own college life, and except for weekends they rarely came home for dinner. Yet tonight, everyone was gathered. The moment I entered, Catherine and Michael began berating me, Michael so furious he looked ready to hit me. Emily played the victim, burying her face in Catherine's arms and sobbing. Charles maintained the facade of head of household, but I knew Catherine's and Michael's words were his thoughts too. "Tell me, where were you? Why did you hit Emily?" Charles demanded. I had been waiting for this. I handed him the letter Jason had given me and the recording. Biting my lip, my face full of grievance, I said. "Jason Grant was lured there on purpose. Father, someone is trying to harm me." That day I shouted loudly that Jason Grant came for me. That girl, Emily's close friend, worked with her to smear me. There were so many people around, all whispering about me. I was so scared. I only wanted her to stop talking. The more I spoke, the more wronged I felt. Tears spilled down, though I bit my lip and stubbornly wiped them away. The three of them had never seen me so fragile. They were stunned. Compared to my earlier arrogant claim, a life without romance is wasted, this version of me felt utterly foreign to them. "But you can't just strike her. Look at Emily's face, it's ruined." Catherine snapped. "Ruined?" I glanced at her, almost laughing. "She looks like a pig's head. Hitting her was your fault. But let me ask you this," I paused, a cold light flickering in my eyes. "Were you involved in all of this? Did you call Jason Grant to the school?" Emily burst into loud sobs. "How could you think that of me? It wasn't me. You hit me and now you want to frame me too. No matter how much you hate me, you can't slander me like that." Catherine tenderly wiped her tears, then turned to me with disappointment. "Shut your mouth. Apologize. If Emily doesn't forgive you, then from today on, I have no daughter like you." Michael added coldly. "She's right. One tells me to apologize, the other tells me to shut up, so which one do I obey?" I asked weakly. Michael angrily grabbed my arm, trying to drag me in front of Emily. I resisted, shaking his hand off. "Don't make a scene." Finally, Charles spoke. "Autumn, go upstairs, put away your books, and then come down for dinner." Michael was displeased, but one glare from his father shut him up. "From now on, this matter is not to be mentioned again. Autumn, follow me to the study." "Yes, father." I pulled my arm free, brushed Michael's touch away in disgust, and headed upstairs to my room. With Charles's abilities, he surely already knew Emily was the one who spread those online rumors. A seasoned old fox like him only needed to think for a moment to see who was behind today's events. Whether for the sake of family peace, or for years of paternal attachment, he chose to cover for Emily. That only deepened his guilt toward me. Which suited me fine. At dinner, Charles brought up my birthday. He said he wanted to hold a grand party, formally introducing me to everyone. I knew it was his way of making amends. The invitations carried both our names, Emily's and mine, celebrating together. Nearly every elite family in New York was invited. Emily moved easily among the crowd, clearly in her element. I only knew a few schoolmates, while she seemed to know everyone. The young aristocrats of New York followed Michael and Harrison's lead. Harrison didn't bother hiding his disdain for me, giving a gift only to Emily. Michael presented gifts to us both, but anyone with eyes could see the one for Emily was far more thoughtful and valuable. His gesture was a silent show of discontent with me. When Emily tricked Harrison into striking me, he had brushed it aside, even believing I was vile and unreasonable. When I struck Emily, he publicly exploded in outrage, humiliating me without caring for the old saying, family shame should not be aired outside. After the gift-giving, he deliberately shot me a glare across the room, his expression saying, "If you don't apologize, I won't forgive you." I lifted my glass and smiled as I toasted him. Just as Harrison turned his head, he caught the scene. Neither he nor Michael expected me to still smile. Their expressions turned strange. By rights, Emily and I were supposed to be the stars of this birthday banquet. But neither of us was even seated at the main table. The seat of honor belonged to a southern internet magnate both the Owens and Sterling families were eager to collaborate with. At his side sat the fathers and sons of both families, behind them the heads of other great New York clans. Harrison's mother and Catherine sat at our table, making the seating arrangement all the more irritating. Emily, beside me, chattered endlessly about how well the men at the main table treated her. Her stupidity only deepened my annoyance. That, I could ignore. But when Harrison's mother insisted Michael, barely in his sophomore year, be sent into the company to gain experience, I couldn't stay silent. They were rushing things. Glass in hand, I wove through the crowd until I stood before the guest of honor. I bowed slightly and offered him a toast. "Excuse me, sir, are you the founder of the Hope Project?" "The Hope Project?" The man, slightly tipsy, lowered his head, thought for a moment, and said, "Well, calling me the founder isn't wrong. Uncle Louis, please allow me to toast you." My voice brimmed with excitement. He looked up at me, brushing aside my glass with the back of his hand. "You're still young. Drinking isn't good for your health." He had only one daughter and despised seeing women neglect themselves. Charles chuckled, introducing me. When Louis learned of my achievements, he praised Charles's fortune, then encouraged me warmly to keep studying hard. I nodded obediently, eyes resolute. From a young age, I knew the only path was to study hard for a better future. My foster parents refused to let me attend school, so I worked to pay my own tuition and living expenses. Those years were incredibly hard. Tears slipped down my strong face. But soon, I smiled gratefully. Fortunately, there were good people like you, Uncle Louis. The Hope Project helped me when I needed it most, covering my school fees. This glass of wine, I must drink to you. I tilted my head back and drained the glass. He feigned disapproval, but the smile tugging at his lips was undeniable. "Uncle Louis, I will not disappoint the Hope Project's expectations. My homeroom teacher says my current grades are the highest the school has ever seen. College entrance exams are coming soon. I want to try. I want to sit the exam early." Gasps of surprise rippled through the crowd. "Yes, I just want to experience the atmosphere of the college entrance exam." "Don't worry, Uncle Louis, I'm very capable. I will never let the Hope Project lose face." I pursed my lips slightly, my face brimming with confidence. The elders present all burst out laughing at my charm, showering me with praise for my determination. Uncle Louis and Charles were lifted high by their compliments, both beaming. Charles was utterly satisfied with my performance. After the banquet ended, he expressed his full support for me sitting the exam. Emily spent the whole evening sulking, leaning pitifully against Catherine's shoulder. Catherine gently comforted her precious daughter. When Charles left, Michael scolded me. Today was Emily's birthday. Why did you have to bring up your background in front of so many people? You deliberately embarrassed her, didn't you? I was in too good a mood to argue. She's just an adopted daughter, not worth my concern. The one I truly care about is you, brother. After that, I threw myself into relentless exam preparation. My target was Harvard University. Most of New York's top business elites had Harvard pedigrees. Admission there was the first step in my entire plan. Charles hired renowned tutors for me. They were strict, and I never slacked. Other than eating and sleeping, every moment went into study. Most students couldn't understand my effort. Even my followers told me, "Miss Owens, you don't need to work so hard." I only smiled. My foundation was strong, and with excellent tutors, I advanced quickly. In the latest citywide mock exam, I scored perfect marks in several subjects, ranking first in the entire city. Charles hosted a celebration. The Southern magnate attended as well. I seized the chance to flatter him again, and he laughed heartily, utterly pleased. Before long, he and Owens Holdings finalized their partnership. Charles showered me with gifts. With stellar grades and solid family backing, my reputation soared in elite circles. The slander from Emily's post gradually faded away. Harrison's mother, perhaps wanting to push us together, used his poor grades as an excuse to force him into one-on-one lessons with me. Harrison, spoiled and arrogant, ignored the tutors. He lagged behind, still struggling with junior-level material, holding me back. Emily constantly hovered, bringing fruit, sweets, always interfering. Finally, she enrolled in the lessons herself. Her weak foundation slowed things down even more. I endured for a time, but enough was enough. I enrolled at New York's top prep center, hand-picking the strongest tutors under my own name. I told no one. On my second day absent, Harrison came looking for me. Emily followed. "Why didn't you come to tutoring yesterday?" Harrison demanded angrily. Emily added. "You must have gone to see Jason Grant again, right? I heard he's a thug, always bullying classmates. Don't get involved with him." My face turned cold. "Emily, spreading false rumors is illegal. You're even more shameless than I thought. The Owens family would be better off raising a dog than you. A dog at least protects its master, you only smear us." I turned to Harrison, frowning. "Shut up. I've already found tutors at the prep center. I won't study with the ones your father arranged. Learning alongside two fools only wastes my time." Without another word, I left. Harrison, arrogant by nature, seethed at my cutting words, his hatred plain. Emily, however, was relieved. For a long while, she stopped meddling. At the end of term exams, I remained first in the city. During winter break, I kept burying myself in the prep center, studying even on New Year's Eve. Emily wore a limited edition designer dress from her parents. The vivid red flattered her beauty. Michael snapped photos of her and Catherine, while Charles looked on with a doting smile. They looked like a perfect family. Outside, snow fell. I curled up on the sofa by the floor-to-ceiling window. The warmth indoors was just right, so comfortable it lulled me toward sleep. This year's twilight came without beatings or bitter cold. "This is good," I whispered with a smile, and kept studying. After returning to school, I applied to transfer into Class 12A so I could sit the college entrance exam a few months later. My exam site was assigned to school number 1. The entire Owens family came to cheer me on. Even before entering the testing hall, I was surrounded by reporters, interviewed several times. Jason Grant was volunteering at the school that day. While pointing me toward the exam rooms, he whispered, "Wait for me in New York." I followed the direction he indicated, answering coolly, "I don't like waiting on anyone. Work hard and catch up yourself." My efforts had not been in vain. I passed the Harvard entrance exam, ranking third in the citywide Natural Sciences division. The two who surpassed me by a handful of points were both from school number 1. Charles was ecstatic. He threw a grand celebration in my honor, and Owens Holdings turned my success into a publicity campaign that drew in countless clients. With such stellar results, my early admission was secured. Harvard's business school truly gathered the best of the best. Michael, as Sterling's heir, became student union president almost immediately upon entering, wielding absolute power in the student body. Unlike his arrogance, I entered as vice president. I spent money and effort to maintain ties with subordinates, threw myself into clubs and events, and earned straight A's in my courses. Praise came from every corner. By sophomore year elections, I defeated both Michael and Harrison, becoming the new student union president. Michael, then a senior focusing on work, was surprised but unconcerned. Harrison, however, couldn't accept it. For the first time, Sterling's golden boy had to serve as someone else's assistant, and worse, he'd lost not to Michael but to a girl like me. Seeing his dissatisfaction, I deliberately provoked him. "You're so useless, your children probably won't even bear your name. Oh, and I heard the student union president wields a lot of power. Make sure you protect Emily well." Still clinging to his knight in shining armor act, he snapped. If you bully Emily, I won't forgive you. I crossed my arms, voice cold. She's nothing more than an extra. The only reason I treat her decently now is out of consideration for you. Owens Holdings is planning to expand south. After we marry, I'll ask my father to find her a rich husband down there. Let her marry for alliance, that can be my repayment for her upbringing. Don't you dare. She's your sister, how could you be so cruel, he shot back. I sneered. Sending her off to a wealthy merchant's house, to live comfortably, what's cruel about that? If you hate me for being cruel, then save her yourself. Keep her as your mistress. I don't care how many women you keep. With that, I gave him a wicked smile. Harrison exploded, calling me a vicious woman and declaring he would never marry me. During the formal marriage talks between our families, he made a scene, insisting he would only marry Emily. The Owens family rallied behind her, defending her engagement. Back home, I smashed everything on the coffee table, collapsing into hysterics. I am their real daughter. The one engaged to the Sterling family should be me. She's just adopted, how dare she compete with me? I screamed. I know she's had deep bonds with you all for over a decade, but why? Why, after all my effort, do you still favor her? If I'd known this, I'd never have come back. Until now, I'd always kept my cool, no matter the disagreements. They had never seen me unravel like this. At first, they were shocked and ready to scold me, but as my words spilled out, their rebukes died in their throats. So my coldness had only been armor. My tireless studying, my relentless drive, it had all been for their recognition. I wasn't aloof by nature, I'd simply grown up without love, never learning how to be close. Guilt etched their faces as they tried to console me. But in my fury, I lashed out at them one by one. Mother, you always say Emily and I are equal in your heart. Then why, the day I came back, did you abandon me the moment she cried, to comfort her instead? She set me up for school bullying, she made Harrison slap me, and the first thing you did at school was rush to her side. Even knowing she was wrong, you made excuses. She lacks a sense of security. What about me? If you love your adopted daughter so much, then tie your tubes, why give birth to me? Michael, stop pretending to be righteous. If you hadn't signaled to your friends, would they have dared to humiliate me? With your reputation, if you valued me as your sister, would Harrison have laid a hand on me? At my birthday, wasn't it you who deliberately shamed me in front of everyone? And now you still dare preach to me? Emily, stop pretending. The day I came back, you deliberately cried to scare me. The next day at school, you incited everyone to bully me. All I did was shake your hand off, and you collapsed like a hurricane had swept through. The Owens family raised you strong and healthy, yet you insist on playing the fragile Lindayu. Honestly, heaven should never have let you live past 17. Father, I've long known those malicious rumors in high school came from Emily. She even called in thugs to the school. She blamed me just to make the Sterling family switch their engagement target. And you covered for her in everything. At that point, I couldn't hold back my tears. My face twisted in anguish as if I'd endured unbearable pain. You found her a marriage with Harrison. You gave Michael, in his sophomore year, shares in the company. And me? I've worked myself to the bone just to earn a little more of your recognition. Why do you favor her so much? I wept while laying out clear demands. Normally, I never asked for anything, never fought Emily for anything. All I wanted was to turn years of silent resentment into their guilt. Catherine broke into sobs. The Owens men looked remorseful and moved by my display. Only Emily was pale with terror. To compensate me, Charles promised to bring me into the company and gave me 5% of the shares originally intended for Emily. Added to the 5% he'd promised earlier, I now held 10%. Emily, freshly exposed, dared not object. Her commercial marriage to the Sterling family would still come with a lavish dowry, enough to satisfy them regardless of shares. Charles had his reasons. First, he thought my demand to join the company was just a fit of pique. Second, he'd already been considering taking back the shares from Emily. My outburst gave him the perfect excuse. And seeing me starved for affection, he likely assumed he could coax me later, reclaiming what he'd given to funnel back to his precious son. A child who cries gets candy. After my outburst, Catherine and Michael showered me with gifts and attention, guilty over the past. When I'd first returned, I hadn't seen much money, such gestures might have swayed me then. But now? I lacked for nothing. Whatever I wanted, I could buy myself. Before, I could tolerate their chatter. Now, after speaking my truth, I turned cold whenever I saw them, refusing even a glance. When Harrison heard I'd caused a scene over him, he came to me with uncharacteristic gentleness. I didn't know you liked me. I thought you only wanted to take everything Emily had. So all along, everything you did was just to get my attention? Then he added. Nianfeng told me what Emily did to you. Turns out you're not as cruel as you claim. All these years, you never once deliberately harmed her, it was us who misunderstood you. I'm sorry. But I promised I'd always protect Emily. His self-indulgence drained my patience. You're pathetic. Let's be honest, you've fallen for me, haven't you? You and I never fit together. Tell me, Harrison, do you like my face, or are you just dazzled because I've beaten you too many times? His expression darkened with rage. Stop flattering yourself. If it weren't for Nianfeng, I wouldn't have bothered to comfort you. I gave him a cold look. And weren't you the one flattering yourself first? With that, I shoved him aside and walked away. Lately, I'd achieved what I wanted. I had no reason to tolerate anyone, especially when he dared to bring up Michael. Charles had only one son, Michael, groomed from birth to be heir. As soon as he passed Harvard's entrance exam, he was granted 20% of the company's shares, lavish generosity. And me? A measly 5%, begrudged and delayed. If I hadn't played my cards right, if I hadn't timed my gamble perfectly, I'd have ended up like Emily, with nothing. I knew this was the most Charles would ever give me. Which meant I no longer needed to play the obedient daughter. I could begin showing my claws. When Michael entered the company, he was given Owens Holdings' luxury 5-star hotel chain, one of its crown jewels. Me? Charles tossed me a near-bankrupt gaming company. He wanted me to fail, to retreat quietly. And even if I refused, the company wouldn't survive much longer anyway. In truth, the gaming company had once been glorious. Back then, Owens Holdings had seen the massive profits of the internet industry and wanted to follow the trend, to grab a piece of the pie. They invested heavily to recruit talent after founding the game studio. Perhaps because they had poured in too much initial capital and feared losing money, most of their products ended up copying already successful games, naively hoping to replicate others' achievements. The result, after launching their servers, the company was cursed across the internet and even sued collectively by those other firms. In everyone else's eyes, this company had no future. But in mine, it was a heaven-sent opportunity. In the internet era, gaming was leading the trend. I had money, influence, and the will to gamble. What I lacked were the right people. After attending several job fairs, I spotted a group of young graduates. Coincidentally, they were also Harvard students. The leader of this team was Taylor Beast, a genius in computer science. I had crossed paths with him a few times before, and since we had stayed in touch, I quickly approached them with sincerity and capital to persuade them. Their dream was to build a Norse mythology world inside a game. Most of the team were recent graduates from nearby universities, their eyes burning with hope for the future. That fiery, idealistic atmosphere infected even the jaded employees of the old company who had once just muddled through. Because of their passion, many of these young people willingly worked overtime, some even bringing folding beds to sleep in the office when the workload got too heavy. I kept a supportive, approachable stance, backing their decisions and ensuring they had the freedom to pursue their vision wholeheartedly. Once the company stabilized, the first thing I did was rename it Ragnarok, Chasing the Dream. The new name alone attracted an influx of talented young applicants. In gaming, a young, creative workforce was everything. The Norse mythology project demanded enormous time and resources, with little hope for short-term profit. So, in the early stages, I focused on supporting smaller, more experimental projects from other teams while leveraging my own name to promote them, bringing in steady revenue. Back when I entered college early, I had caused quite a stir. Many still remembered me for my beauty, family background, and academic record. This time, when I reappeared in public as a corporate CEO, dressed in tailored business attire, giving interviews about the gaming industry, it reignited the fascination. On social media, I once again became a trending topic. That's the Owens heiress who entered university early, ranked third in the entire city. Too beautiful and confident, she's the perfect rich girl archetype. Such elegance, straight out of a strong female lead novel. CEO before graduation? Truly, the ancients were right, talent and beauty go hand in hand. Speculation about me swirled across forums, and countless people were eager to see what kind of game I would release. With so much hype, the download numbers for our latest game soared overnight, quickly climbing to the top of the charts. The game's quality kept players hooked, and our reputation spread like wildfire. I, and Ragnarok, had staged a spectacular comeback. At business gatherings, people began to call me Miss Autumn. Yet there were two Miss Autumns in New York society now. Meanwhile, the engagement between Emily and Harrison proceeded smoothly. Soon, the Owens and Sterling families held their grand engagement party. I didn't attend. Michael phoned me furiously. Do you know how many rumors you've caused to spread by making a scene? I'm busy. When he finished scolding, I calmly replied. Now I know. Thanks for giving me two useful pieces of information. Then I hung up. I bought several properties, using work and studies as excuses to live independently, rarely returning home. The next time I saw Michael was at a business banquet. He confronted me about ignoring his messages and mentioned that Catherine's health had been poor, urging me to visit her. I'm not a doctor. If she's unwell, what use am I? I said lightly, swirling the deep red wine around my glass. How long are you going to sulk? He asked, brows furrowed, clearly irritated by my indifference. Ever since I was a child, whenever I was sick, I went to the hospital alone. No one ever visited me. And now, Catherine wasn't exactly young anymore, just an oversized child, really. My coldness only fueled Michael's anger. She's your mother. I know she gave birth to you, so you have a responsibility to care for her. Right now, you're making money for her, but she doesn't lack money. What she wants is to see you. What's wrong with money? That's all you people ever gave me. You reap what you sow, don't be greedy. So it's all because you keep avoiding us, isn't it? Emily knew Mom wasn't well and postponed her exams just to stay home and take care of her. If you were even 1/10 as considerate as she is, our family wouldn't be like this. The blame in his voice was obvious. On the very first day I came back to the Owens family, Emily set me up. You all believed her without question. If I hadn't been prepared with evidence, who knows how far she would have bullied me. My heart froze solid back then, so how dare you scold me now for avoiding you? I left him speechless. He lowered his tone, trying to appeal to sentiment. This time Mom was upset because of Dad. You. I cut him off coldly. Upset because of Dad? Charles's affairs outside aren't exactly a secret. Catherine has always pretended not to know. This time, she was angry only because it concerned me, so she complained a little. Charles hates it when she meddles beyond her bounds. And you, Michael, the son she raised, didn't defend her. You told her to let it go, to stop making a scene. That day, she was so furious she ended up in the hospital. Michael was born the crown prince of the Owens family, blessed with every benefit that money and male privilege bring. Now holding power in the company, he understood its allure even more. As long as Charles didn't sire another son, he would excuse everything Charles did. You drove your mother to the hospital and didn't even make amends yourself. Instead, you had your sister skip exams to care for her. Someone who can't meet even the minimum standard of morality, yet loves to stand on the high ground and criticize others. Every time I hear you speak, I feel secondhand shame. His voice shook with confusion. Autumn Owens, are you insane? Do you have to bite everyone you see? Emily staying with Mom is filial piety. Not everyone is like you. I looked at him and couldn't help but laugh. Her condition wasn't serious enough for hospitalization. With all the servants in the house, Was it really necessary for her to skip exams to care for Catherine? A servant can't compare to one's own daughter. Emily, being their comfort's mom, keeps her company, makes her feel less lonely. He spoke as if it were natural. Emily hadn't sacrificed her exams of her own accord, it was Michael who thought she should be at Catherine's side. He just didn't say it outright. Emily, ever perceptive of their moods, volunteered herself. He and Charles often said Emily was spoiled, too willful. But the truth was, her so-called willfulness always fell within the limits they permitted. She simply read their faces and acted accordingly. I didn't bother to hide my disgust. Michael, stop hovering around me. You ruin my appetite. Michael was obsessed with saving face. After that unpleasant encounter, he stopped seeking me out. The next time we crossed paths was on Halloween. The Owens family had a tradition of making dumplings together that day. By then, 2 of Ragnarok's small games had gained steady user bases and decent revenue. I couldn't suppress the joy on my face. While we wrapped dumplings, Catherine tried to make conversation with me, gentle and warm. Across the table, the sibling stares felt like knives trying to pierce me. Charles pretended not to notice, laughing as he told the servants to take pictures of our happy family moment. When I went back to my room, Emily followed me in. She carried a strange confidence, locked the door behind her, then turned with a furious glare. Where were you on Christmas Eve? Where I was is none of your business. My answer made her face contort with rage. The date of my marriage to Harrison is already set. The moment we're old enough, we'll register. No matter how much noise you make, you'll never have a chance. She paused, then smiled triumphantly as if she'd recalled something. They're only guilty for now. It's not the first time, you know. But whenever we clash, they'll always take my side. I stayed silent, letting her finish. Then, looking at that foolish, smug smile, I couldn't help but laugh. If it's really as you say, that your parents adore you so much, then why haven't you managed to secure anything from the Owens family fortune? Her eyes burned with resentment as she snapped back. Isn't it because of you? The 2 of us fought to the death over just 5% of the shares, while Michael was handed 20% the moment he entered college. Clearly, our parents favor him the most. Why don't you fight him for their affection instead? I met her gaze, unflinching. Because you already know you can't compete with him. In this house, he was born a rung above you. The only thing you can do is fawn over him, hoping he'll be gracious enough to treat you kindly. You're lying. Emily refused to admit it. Mom has always loved me most. She tutored me from childhood, she never tutored you or Michael. Whatever I wanted, my parents gave me. That's because Michael is groomed to inherit. And your value lies in being raised and then married off for an alliance. That's all. The things you want don't touch his interests, so the Owens family spends money on you without hesitation. If you were truly brave, you'd raise hell, demand the engagement be cancelled, demand shares, demand the heir's position. Let's see if they still spoil you then. My words silenced her for a moment. Then she steadied herself, feigning composure. You think too much. I have my own ambitions. I don't care about Owens Holdings' wealth. I gave a short, cold laugh. You mean that so-called dream of becoming a dancer? If it mattered that much, why did you give up studying abroad and stay home instead? Let me guess, it was father and your dear brother who stopped you. They said it was because they didn't want you far away without anyone to take care of you. But the truth is, they were afraid that once you left, Harrison's loyalty might waver. And when Mother was upset last time, they told you to postpone your exams just to stay home with her. That competition you'd prepared so hard for, abandoned, just like that. Emily's lips trembled, she didn't want to hear another word. Stop trying to drive a wedge between us. Whether it's a wedge or not, you know the truth yourself. If you want to keep daydreaming, close your door and do it alone. Don't play act in front of me. I have no patience for theatrics. Get out. But she didn't move. Instead, she sneered. Big talk. Aren't you just jealous because I have a lover? All your flirting with Harrison was just to provoke me. But let me tell you, Harrison's heart belongs to me alone. The one our parents love most will always be me. Everything you do is pointless. She always imagined herself central to my world. Seeing my silence, she snapped in frustration. Dare you deny you weren't with Harrison on Christmas Eve? I remained indifferent. On Christmas Eve, I was working. I have no interest in useless men who lag behind me in every way. That's the truth. This time, Emily faltered, finally sensing something was wrong. She had always believed I was her only rival. But how could a man born with a silver spoon like Harrison lack temptations? In the elite circles he frequented, beautiful women at banquets were unavoidable. Expecting him to stay pure was harder than reaching the heavens. Even Charles and Catherine had once been passionately in love. Charles's greatest virtue was that he hadn't fathered illegitimate children outside. Compared to men of similar wealth, many with multiple marriages or hidden heirs, he was considered decent. But Emily, pampered since childhood, could never tolerate betrayal. She hired a private detective to follow Harrison, and soon enough caught him at a party. He had lost a game, and as punishment a girl poured wine into his mouth from her own lips. Before the second gulp, Emily stormed in, yanked him by the hair, and dragged him away. She made a huge scene. Harrison scrambled to explain, then chased her outside. Their so-called childhood romance survived one storm. But Emily caught him a few more times afterward, earning the scorn of his friends. Embarrassed, he lashed out at her harshly. She went home in tears, demanding to break off the engagement. Charles promised to have the Sterling family discipline Harrison, then coaxed and comforted her at length. Feeling she had her father's backing, she grew even bolder. When Harrison called, she coldly declared she wanted to cancel the betrothal. Charles's kindly face darkened instantly. The moment Emily uttered the words, "Break off the engagement," he slapped her. The blow left her stunned, staring at him in disbelief. Catherine sobbed, clutching Emily. Why hit her? Whatever it is, talk it out. Michael stood nearby, taking the phone from her trembling hand, whispering something to Harrison on the other end. And me? I leaned back against the sofa, savoring the family drama like fine wine. Charles then began apologizing to Emily, his voice full of syrup, coaxing her gently. Michael chimed in, backing him up. Emily wept in Catherine's arms, while Catherine, perhaps recalling her own past, could only shed silent tears at her daughter's bleak future. The Owens father and son were masters at manipulating Emily's emotions. It didn't take long before she was coaxed into nodding along, even apologizing to them. The play was over, and I'd had my fill. What value did a hollow, glittering marriage have? She had fought tooth and nail for it, but with a man like Harrison, how much happiness could she possibly expect? The thought of her bleak future thrilled me. Jason Grant drove over to pick me up. He hadn't graduated yet, so he couldn't work inside the company, but he helped me handle errands on the outside. Looks like President Owens is in an unusually good mood today, he teased with a smile. I curved my lips into a smile. Watching hypocrites rip off their masks, it's entertaining. You've worked hard. Game development was a money pit. The 2 small titles we'd launched had brought in revenue, but I'd funneled it all into patching the hole left by God of Olympus. The only reason the company still functioned was because I'd propped it up with my own money. When Taylor Beast and the others realized how difficult things were for me, they offered to take pay cuts. I refused. God of Olympus is everyone's dream. If I can't contribute with code, then let me contribute with money. Leave the rear guard to me. Your job is to charge forward without a care. Those words moved them deeply, and they threw themselves into overtime. Finally, after a year and a half, we launched open beta. As expected, the game drew rave reviews. I poured money into promotion and even appeared at the press conference myself. After showcasing the game, I told the story of our struggles, how, when the team first formed, most of them were fresh Harvard grads, hardcore gamers united by a single dream, to bring the myths of their homeland into the global gaming industry. In that story, I became the book-smart, wealthy patron moved by their vision. Taylor Beast looked bright and promising. His core team dressed sharp, men in black suits, women in sleek dresses. Everywhere the camera turned, it captured youth and vitality. At first, the team was more famous than the game itself. The internet buzzed with rumors that Taylor and I were romantically linked. Why else, they said, would I invest so much in him? Fans began shipping us. Screenshots of our group chat leaked, holiday bonuses I'd sent, notes of encouragement, all splashed across blogs. Soon, Ragnarok was hailed as the dream company. Most entrepreneurs shy away from publicity, terrified of online backlash. I didn't care. For me, success mattered more than image. And just as I'd predicted, the hype drew in droves of players. On launch day, traffic was so heavy it crashed the servers. God of Olympus did not disappoint, revenue soared, and it became a rising star in the industry. At last, the Owens family noticed. In Charles's eyes, I had always been the neglected child, clinging to him for affection. He had never looked closely at Ragnarok, dismissing it as a failing venture. But the daily revenue of God of Olympus stunned them. They hadn't expected the daughter they'd ignored to achieve something so monumental. They staged a banquet under the pretense of celebrating me. Sitting down, they showered me with so much false warmth I could finally taste the treatment Emily used to enjoy. She, meanwhile, glared at me as if her eyes could fling daggers. And once they thought I was softened, they revealed their true intent. They wanted me to hand Ragnarok over to Michael. I refused immediately, putting on a pitiful act and demanding they pay me back instead. Michael played the role of the concerned brother, urging me not to worry anymore, promising the family would take care of me. I snorted, voice dripping with disdain. Years of blood, sweat, and tears. If I don't manage it, you will? You've run the family hotel for years, and what exactly have you accomplished? The moment I finished, Michael exploded. The family erupted into discord. Even though I'd mocked him, Charles stayed silent, but the irritation etched on his face said enough. They finally saw my ambition clearly. Our relationship now only lacked open rupture. God of Olympus was magnificent. Both PC and mobile versions surged, paying back investment far faster than I'd imagined. With Ragnarok's growing reputation and a loyal fan base, I cut marketing costs dramatically. Graduating from Harvard, I poured myself fully into business. One by one, Ragnarok's projects became key assets of Owens Holdings, carving out a new pillar in the gaming market. Our profits soon surpassed the other subsidiaries, making us the crown jewel of the company. In board meetings, I sat to Charles's right. Michael and I faced each other openly, and the company split into two factions. Catherine tried to mediate, but I brushed her aside every time. Finally, seeing my resolve, she gave up and transferred 10% of her shares to me. When I looked at her, surprised, she seemed almost embarrassed as she explained softly. Emily has Heiress. I don't worry about her. You've never asked me for anything. This is all I can do for you. Biased as she was still the one who cared for me most. Autumn, do you hate me? No. You have money, time, support whoever you like. Emily hasn't really harmed my interests. In fact, she's helped me more than she knows. Catherine hadn't expected me to be so rational. She stood there, dazed. Take care of yourself. I'll visit when I have time. I smiled gently at her, rare softness in my voice. She nodded, eyes misting, holding my hand tightly before finally letting go. Watching her bent back retreat, I felt nothing. With 20% of shares plus Ragnarok, I secured the CEO seat of Owens Holdings. Michael was entirely dethroned. Under my leadership, Owens Holdings rode the digital wave, successfully transforming and leaving the Sterling Corporation far behind. On the national Forbes list, I soared past both Michael and Heiress. President, rumor has it Mr. Owens Jr. and Mr. Sterling nearly lost their minds today. Jason Grant's voice brimmed with amusement. What now? At the Zheng family banquet, someone said the two golden boys of New York together still don't measure up to one president, you. And they're right. Once you have brains and money, those who rely only on men are just pebbles by the roadside.